What is up, World Wrestling Vlog crew? We are here and we are ready to discuss what Paul and I believe to be one of the greatest events in wrestling history, Starrcade 83. And of course, referee Billy J, being the Mark Jobber Hill that he is, says he would like his 2.5 hours back.
Yep.
So, yeah, man. I mean, we all we took this week and reviewed Starrcade 83. And, I was talking to Billy before we came on, and if you were looking at Starrcade 83 through the lens of today, and it was, it would probably get a lot of heat because, there were a lot of production issues, but it was 83. So, I mean, the cardboard cutout behind behind Gordon and all that, that probably wouldn't fly today, but did the best they could. I thought it was good for 83, but Billy Billy was not so impressed.
No.
So what about you? I know how the Cowboy feels.
I loved it. Absolutely, positively.
Hey, the in ring was second to none.
Yes, sir.
The coked up Roddy Piper was second to none.
Hello, beautiful Miss Meg.
Yeah, we got Miss Meg in the house. Welcome in. Good to see you. Good to have you. We've got Timmy Ray the King. He actually skipped racing tonight to watch the World Wrestling Vlog. We appreciate that, Timmy. This is a special night. We did this night with you and your dad in mind. We thought, you know what, Starrcade 83, Timmy is going to love this. Starrcade 83, a flair for the gold. What is up, Lovey? Good to see you, Mike. And we have the most beautiful ring valet of all time, my valet, Miss Chastity from the Moonlight Adventures. And we appreciate her joining in because she is running around chasing Landon as we speak. You'll probably hear him in the background. If you haven't seen me around the channel a lot this week, it's because our grandson is here because Dylan is back from Korea. So we've got our daughter-in-law and we've got the grandbaby, and we are just running around like crazy. But did have time to get in some Starrcade 83, and let's start at the top of the card here. So, first match in the shoot at 8 minutes and 11 seconds, and I have to say, probably could have been shorter. This is just my opinion on this one. The Assassins with Paul Jones versus Rufus R. Jones and Bugsy McGraw with the Assassins coming out on top. So, how do you feel about this one, Billy J? I'm going to throw that one over to you to begin with.
I didn't think it should have been the first match. It should have been switched with another match. I took some notes. My very first note was, why was Bugsy McGraw trying to take the assassin's mask off? Isn't he a face? Is what I put. And then also, Bugsy McGraw and Rufus R. Jones both doing Dusty's legs wobble. Dusty has the leg wobble. What's up with that?
So, I saw a lot of leg wobbling going on throughout Starrcade 83. Seemed to be a trend.
But I agree that match probably should have been shorter, but in a different part of the card too.
That match should have been the get up and go get popcorn and take a whiz match, but it was the first match of the night.
Yep.
Now, what we don't know is what the heat angle was coming in, so it may have been something that the people were really wanting to see. Paul, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I love the whole card there in that one. I mean, I've seen worse. He's talking to me, Billy J, not you. I've seen worse first matches, I promise you. Yo, hang on. I'm trying to send a message here.
Yeah, I mean, we all watch from time to time Monday Night Raw and their barn burners of a kickoff match. And AEW Rampage is always fantastic with their first match of the night. So it could very well be worse. But you know, the one thing that struck me was Rufus and them headbutts. I never seen a man headbutt someone's elbow before or their shoulder, but Rufus did it. Now I do not follow Rufus. I'll just be honest with you. I'm not a big follower of him, but he had a vicious forehead. It looked like.
You have to forgive me for a moment here. I was trying to run my Xbox and so I could see chat, and that is just not going to work. We don't have enough Wi-Fi down here in South Arkansas.
It happens. One of these days. One of these days.
Well, we did finally get running water and electricity in most homes.
You had professional wrestling long before you got those things, though.
We did. Well, necessities.
That's right. That's right.
Still kissing your cousins?
What is your deal with cousins?
Well, if they have pretty feet, that's what's important to them.
Yeah. I mean, ask the Arkansas people. I don't know. I don't live there.
Meg says that you should move to Atlanta, Paul, and I tend to agree with it.
I'm working on that slowly but surely. She don't get rid of me between now and then.
Meg, you know I love you, but I think, you know, there are places outside of Atlanta that may be better, but I know you have an affinity for, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
I like it.
I like
especially every situation.
I like being able to do public transit pretty much everywhere. And
Yes.
all those kind of things. But I don't know. It's just something about me growing up in the North Georgia mountains that turned me off. I don't know. Meg says she doesn't drive, so that makes sense. I'll tell you, when I go on business trips to Atlanta, I use MARTA. I do not try to drive around that place. Excuse me.
I drive a truck for a living, and I don't.
Yeah.
We MARTA everywhere. Love it. Or Uber.
All right. So Rufus R. Jones, Bugsy McGraw. What kind of footwear was Bugsy wearing? Oh, Bugsy McGraw. He looked like he was wearing loafers or dance shoes or something. What was old Bugsy's gimmick?
I don't know.
Crazed rants. So McGraw, this is Wikipedia. Bugsy McGraw and the Skull, as he's sometimes mentioned as, is known for his long beard and for his philosophical, crazed rants during wrestling interviews. So he had a lot of heat when he was in Jim Crockett Promotions with the Assassins. So I don't know. Probably worst match of the night. Paul, you disagree or agree with that?
I go along with that. To me, with this here, like the last 3 matches, so overpowered everything that, I mean, it just, because I mean, we'll probably get into it. Well, I ain't jumped the gun. We can get into that later. What was going on there with the later matches?
Yeah, you know, that's true, Mike. But I'm with Billy. I kind of wonder because it was repeated by a number of wrestlers. So, you know, Charlie Brown was doing it. I don't know if it's just a sign of the time, just things that was, you know, was that a dance move? Was that because the crowd sure did pop. It was a cheap pop every time you got the legs.
I thought it was always Dusty's thing, but maybe it wasn't before. I don't know.
Well, so the next match of the night, I was really, I liked this match because I like the cast of characters in it. Almost the shortest match of the night. Kevin
6:43.
Yep. Mark Lewin. Ringside, we had Gary Hart, not of the Hart family. This is Hill Gary Hart, the manager.
It's the Chicago Hearts.
They defeated Scott McGee and Johnny Weaver. And I'm a mark for Kevin Sullivan. Always have been.
Him and Mark Lewin, their work in Florida was talking about pushing the envelope. They shoved the envelope.
Yeah, and you talking about that envelope, potato. It was funny because you heard Mr. Gordon Soley say, "It's been rumored that he's a droid or that he's a druid." That's what he said. He's a druid.
Yeah.
Like, what's that? What's that even mean, Gordon? It's been rumored he's a druid. So, what you got on this one, Paul?
I loved it. Like I said, I love Kevin Sullivan's work. I love Mark Lewin's work, especially with them two together. And after this, they went back to, or sometime after this, they went back to Florida and really got into the dark side of Kevin Sullivan's character. And Mark Lewin become Purple Haze. They like had a scene where he came literally walking out of the ocean. He was supposedly I don't know, but it was for that time and that place. It was pretty risque. But no, the great match. I mean, Kevin Sullivan is an unsung professional. I mean, he really could work a match with pretty much anybody. Not saying it'd be 5-star or 4-star, but he get you home, get you through. Billy would appreciate him, I'm sure, as a referee.
They're talking about like 6 stars, 7 stars now, Paul, that they're handing out.
I'm a 10-star.
I didn't realize.
Billy knows what I'm saying. I'm sure you've been in a situation where you get in the ring there, and somebody has to be the veteran, has to be the professional, and take over and say, "Hey, come on, we're stinking up the joint. We got to do something here."
Yep.
That's what happened in that foosball match that I saw on the video.
And I won.
Oh, you won it? I figured Paul took you.
We tied. I said, we'll part as gentlemen, Billy.
No.
Billy, we're here to talk about Starrcade, or I would tell off on you about who you truly are. Just saying.
That's a good point, Lovey. Sullivan pulling that off in the Bible Belt. Now, well, that's why he was getting so much heat, I think. I think that was part of it. The heat is, I mean, especially he brought out the snakes and all that stuff. And then when they had Luna as part of it, I don't want to forget Timmy here. This is his night. Captain Billy J, I know a great match for you versus Eddie Gilbert from Mid-South wrestling Cowboy Paul. So he wants you to wrestle Mr. Wildfire, it sounds like.
I know who that is. He's related to the Traveling Gilberts, right?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I've heard the name, but I just can't
Hot
picture him.
stuff.
Yeah.
Short guy, a lot of heart, better behind the scenes really than in the ring. Missy Hyatt's first. Never mind, you don't know Missy Hyatt, probably.
I know that.
You probably do. She's still around.
Yeah, she is. But so one of the things that surprised me, because I didn't realize this, I thought Kevin Sullivan was from the Pacific Northwest. I think that's where he lives at now. But they built him
from Boston.
Yeah, they built him from Boston. You know, because when I started watching Kevin Sullivan as a 12, 13-year-old kid, he was from parts unknown,
Yes, sir. Now, I don't know if he went collegiate level, but I know he was they say he was a pretty good amateur wrestler, at least through high school.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of hookers in this, hookers and shooters that, real good technical. Briscoes looked really good, but I don't want to jump ahead. Billy, how do you feel about this match?
Here are my notes I wrote. Before the match, one of the announcers said 16,000 people, thousands turned away. I'm like, I don't think so.
15,447.
Well, yeah, but then it's 1,000 turned away. I don't think so.
They had an issue with a freak winter storm hit up and down the coast that night too, which hurt the closed caption.
Yeah,
closed circuit.
And then Tommy Young was the first ref in the first match, and he's a great referee.
I like him.
I said he's great, like me. And then I said Gordon Soley looks like a Jim Cornette. And then
he was wearing
a young Tony Schiavone. Oh, and then for this match, I said referees wearing different outfits. 2 of them were wearing black. 1 is wearing blue. This one was the blue referee. Didn't get the memo. I also said,
But
go ahead.
on that point, Paul, this is what I thought, and you may know this. Was that because those referees were from different territories and they were wearing the uniform of the territory?
Very well could have been. I mean, they would have had their uniform, I'm quite sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Which I thought, that's what I told Dylan. I said, I think they're wearing, because he pointed that out too. I said, I think they're wearing their uniform for their specific territory, because Starrcade was a conglomerate of all the NWA territories, like a WrestleMania for NWA.
Yes, sir.
I don't know that for sure.
Yeah. It looked weird, but still, if they're different territories, they should have had a consistent uniform.
NWA uniform, yeah.
I said second tag match, Sullivan Lewin versus McGee Weaver. Should have started the card first. This match was a stronger match than the first one. Still not the best match, but it was still better than the first one. And then also, I put one of the commentators said tag over the top rope. It said that the referee didn't allow the tag, but it was because the referee didn't see the tag. So that was the commentator error. And then also there was bleeding in the second match, and you don't bleed in the second match. And I'll talk about that more later, because there's a lot of bleeding in this show.
There was.
We know Kevin Sullivan. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying Kevin Sullivan's philosophy on booking, because Kevin's a heck of a booker. His first rule of booking is you put your best match, not your highest looked after match, but your actual best wrestling match on first.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think they did that here. But I'll tell you, at 6 minutes and 42 seconds, is that what the time was on this one? 6:43?
Yes, sir, 6:43.
There was a lot more action, a lot better technical action than the 8-minute, 11-second tag match that led off. They got more in, and they didn't rush it. It was interesting, though. There was some outside action. There was an afterbirth as well, as Jim Cornette likes to call it. Lot of things that Jim would point out that in some of the newer wrestling that he probably would poo-poo on, but I'm sure he wouldn't poo-poo on Starrcade 83. So that's kind of interesting. Dylan and I were both kind of looking at that too, like a lot of blood early, a lot of blood throughout. But the other thing is too, and I think Paul would probably echo my opinion on this. This was a big event. But I don't know. I really need to go back and study the history on Starrcade. So Starrcade 83, it wasn't the first Starrcade, I don't believe. Paul,
it was.
It was.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Dusty Rhodes coin. It depends on who you ask on this. Dusty Rhodes is given credit for the name Starrcade. And pretty much everybody in the world gives him credit for making it, booking it, and everything else. But there are a few people say actually Dory Funk Jr. booked it and booked the events leading up to it. Then Dusty took over after Starrcade booking.
So maybe that can answer for some of the disjointedness of what was going on. I mean, it seemed like too, knowing the timelines from when some of these wrestlers were in the places that they were. So pulling in the Valentines, pulling in Rowdy Piper, they probably didn't have a whole lot of time with all of these territories working together. I'm not making excuses for it, but I appreciate Billy's incorrect opinion. No, I'm kidding, Billy. You have anything else, Billy?
I just said one other note I had was foreign objects used in the first 3 matches.
Yeah.
Which you don't do that. Anyway, so that's all I had for the second match.
In that match, now hang on, I'm trying to remember here. In that Sullivan match, was that when Angelo Mosca came in? Yep. Angelo Mosca came in, and then Lewin and Sullivan beat down McGee they it actually looked like they hardwayed McGee and busted him open with a foreign object from Hart, and then they put it on Mosca and busted open his arm. Yeah. Foreign object, blood, afterbirth. Timmy Ray got a question for Cowboy Paul from his dad Charles.
That would be Butch Reed.
There you go.
Before he went to WF and became the natural Butch Reed.
Hacksaw Butch Reed. All right, so moving on, unless anybody has anything else to talk about that match. The match following, I had high hopes for because, boy, I love me some Abdullah the Butcher.
Gosh.
Carlos Colon, he's good too. In 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Wow. Did they not?
I want to say something. If you really want to see a real Abdullah and Carlos match, look up WWC, Puerto Rico. NWA pretty much had to give you the G-rated version of one of their matches. I'm surprised them two haven't bled out through some of their wars. I mean, it just from start to finish, just ooh.
Gordon did say,
like I said, Puerto Rico. Sorry, go ahead.
He said that Jim Crockett had to pull all kinds of strings to get that match sanctioned, or that he would not
imagine,
but just to get it on the card. I wonder if one of the stipulations was it had to be under 5 minutes. This can't be on for any longer than 5 minutes.
Could be.
But yeah, I mean, one of the things I saw and is it looked like Carlos. Was it Carlos? No, it wasn't Carlos. It was Abdullah. It looked like Abdullah hit Carlos once and like didn't pull it. I mean, just popped him, and it. I don't know if it was just the poor quality or what, but it almost like you could see the skin come with the object.
Ooh.
I was like, ooh. Me and Dylan went back and watched it a couple times, and he's like, yeah, that wasn't fake.
Those two love it, man. I'm serious.
Yeah.
They.
I mean, there wasn't a whole lot going on there. Billy, how many notes did you take from that match?
I put bleeding in the third match after bleeding in the second match. I also put dumb ref bump in third match. That was a really stupid ref bump. And then I put, and then no canvas change after blood the last two matches.
They wouldn't
the 80s, Billy.
That was gross, though.
AIDS wasn't a thing back then. I mean, it
Yeah,
was.
there's other diseases.
Little hepatitis never hurt anybody.
And I thought that this was the worst match of the night.
You know he's got that, don't you?
What's that?
Sorry. Abby. Abdullah, he's got hip.
Oh, yeah.
Something. Big time.
I'm sure a number of those guys were doing that kind of work, back in the day. It's a wonder all of them don't have. I mean, they had no idea, just the education on bloodborne pathogens, I guess, just wasn't there. But you look at how boxing was handled back then, and boxing would have been much more well regulated, and they were cutting people in the corners and spitting in buckets, and it was a different breed of folks back then. But yeah, I mean, so every Abdullah the Butcher match I've ever seen, that's the way it was. I don't know. I mean, was he ever in any kind of technical matches, or was he always gigging people?
That's it. That's all I've ever seen him do.
Yeah. I mean, he was a master of it. Not knocking.
And no matter who he's in there with, that's why a lot of people wouldn't work with him, because that's all he knew how to do.
Also, the little the manager for Carlos Colon. I mean, maybe he's a well-known guy. I don't know who he was, but that was weird. I thought that was a really weird way for that match to end. Whatever.
There's actually a WCW match. I think it's from Clash of the Champions. where the cage was supposedly electrified and you had to put your opponent in an electric chair in the center of the ring. It's like Cactus Jack and Abdullah and I don't know, a whole host of people in that match. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one that Jim Cornette talks about all the time where the electricity didn't work and there was all these different fire codes and stuff that they had broken and they were told they couldn't do it. So then the guys were having to act like they were getting shocked, which made things even worse. Yeah. All right. Other than Abdullah and Carlos being big names, there really wasn't a whole lot else going on. Then Hugo coming in and ending the match. That was kind of weird. Next, we start getting into business here with Cowboy Bob Orton, Dirty Dick Slater, Mark Youngblood, and Wahoo McDaniel.
Yes, sir.
And I'll tell you, the first thing
1448
in this was that Wahoo was getting up there in age, but he could still go. Wahoo was a stud. He was strong, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But referee Billy, we will start with you, man. What do you think about this match?
I only had 2 notes. One of the notes was I liked the camera shot from up above. And then also I thought that this match was all right. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. I mean, it wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't bad either. So I thought it was, and it was in the right place, I think, on the card.
I really enjoyed the Tommy Hawk, as Gordon said, the Tommy Hawk chop from Wahoo onto the head. I agree, Mike. I liked it. I liked both of these teams as tag teams. I liked Bob Orton and Dick Slater a lot more, but yeah, I mean, good tag teams for sure. Billy, do you have anything else?
Nope, I do not.
Paul, what you got on this one?
Well, I like good tag team wrestling, and this is one of the reasons why I'm such a big fan of tag team wrestling. Is your earlier NWA, Mid-South kind of stuff really emphasized, if you will, or wasn't afraid to showcase a good tag team match right along, upper card and all. And I mean, this here is just a star-studded lineup for a match. If you go back and watch these people's histories, and I mean, I enjoyed the match. I really did. I appreciated it. Had a good time on it too. Almost 15 minutes. Helped take up some time for the card, and all 4 of those guys know how to work a crowd, keep it from being a bore fest.
I was a little confused on a couple of things here, and Billy, you might be able to elaborate. But I thought that during that time period, coming off the top rope was illegal. And then the other thing was, and I'll get to that in the Kabuki match, but I thought there was an off the top rope moment also in this match. But I'm gonna go grab you another chair. Dylan's in the house. Here he comes.
I've heard the top rope rule before, but I don't know. I don't know if this applied to this show or not. So. But the commentators never mentioned about it, so they just mentioned about that stupid tag over the top rope, which made no sense. But
yeah, the other thing was the extracurricular activity on the apron and out on the floor, and it was right in the side of the referee.
Yeah,
I don't know if there was any kind of special stipulations in this match. I didn't think there was. So that was a little weird for that era of wrestling to allow that to go on.
Yeah.
Again, maybe it was something to do with the heat going into this match that they allowed a little bit more to occur. But what do you got, Paul?
I really do not know.
No. Oh, I think I already got it, and then I came back to you again. Yeah, I bet. So I don't know any of these matches that you're talking about specifically, Mike, but I guarantee you Wahoo and Abdullah would have been some good ones.
Wahoo he get heat with anybody.
Yeah. He's strong as an ox. Timmy Ray, Charles has another question for you. and he'd like to know whatever happened to Eric the Red from Mid South Wrestling.
I think he died before I was born. Eric Red, like the Eric the Red, that guy was way back yonder.
Well, yeah, he was a Viking.
Yeah, he may have died before I was born. Seriously, or
Yeah.
that's the only place I've seen him is older Mid South stuff.
Died in 1978.
Okay, he died a year after I was born.
So Dylan, we're
No, I'm
on
old.
the Bob Orton, Dick Slater, Wahoo McDaniel, and Youngblood match.
Or Steamboat.
No. This was before that match. This was with
Oh yeah.
remember
yeah,
you
yeah.
said that you when they started talking to Bob Orton, you said, "Wow, he sounds just like Randy."
Sounds a lot like Randy Orton. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't look a lot like him, at least to me, but sounded a lot like him. But what I was telling Betty when we were watching, because there was several, seemed like there's a lot more tag matches than there would be in a normal card nowadays.
Yep.
And what I was telling Betty was a lot more, or I guess less dual teaming. It was more, whoever's in the ring and whoever's in the ring, and they're against each other. There's less fighting on the outside and less double teaming on whoever's in the ring. They'd make a tag and they'd do a quick move on them and then they get out of the ring and that was it. It was less 2-on-1 than there is nowadays. Is what I noticed more than anything. And really, the biggest takeaway for me, I'm getting in late. I don't know what y'all already talked about and everything, but the biggest takeaway for me from Starrcade 83 was not everything had to end in the finisher. Not everything had to end with them giving the finisher. Sometimes it was just a roll up or just the heel being the heel, and that was it. And it would end. Just a quick pinfall, a suplex, because a suplex from whoever's not tagged in would finish the match.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah,
The quote unquote surprise finish.
There was a few odd things, Billy. I'm sure you caught some of those. Watching it. All right, so watching it through the first time I'd ever watched it, versus watching it this time with a more critical eye, was a little different. And I saw some things. Now I wasn't as critical as Billy, where I want my 2.5 hours back. I still liked it. But yeah, I did catch some things. Now this is like third time around where I'm like, but I give them a pass because I mean, to me, this is the first big pay-per-view event ever, really.
This is not the first time I've watched Starrcade 83, but this first time I watched it, I was trying to like critique it, and it's really. A lot of the complaints we have about modern day wrestling can be seen here as well. There's blood in every match.
Yeah.
Blood in every single match. And then a lot of the silly stuff, you look at Charlie Brown out there dancing around, whatever. I was thinking about like Orange Cassidy. As much as we complain about Orange Cassidy and how silly his gimmick is, well, Charlie Brown, that's just as silly.
Yep. Well, I'm a little jaded because if I was a kid watching this, yeah, it'd be probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. But being a 20-year plus referee in pro wrestling, looking back at it for the first time, I am very critical of it. So it's hard for me to.
So this is a good point from Lovey. Camera angles nowadays are intentional. I hate the jerk camera stuff. The foof, 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 all these quick moves between frames. And that was one of the reasons AJ Styles hated being in TNA Impact, he claimed, was because he felt like his stuff was so tight that you didn't need to do that. And he felt like it was taken away from his talent level. But they did try, during this period of time, it was more a world of sporting event broadcast. And it was shown that way, which I think is great. I thought the camera angles were really good. The camera quality wasn't very good, but I did like the angles they shot.
I like that they sang the national anthem during the pay-per-view. That's something you don't see nowadays.
I liked it, but I didn't like the place of it. It should have been at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, here's this dude from
Yeah.
North Carolina.
It said North Carolina native, insert name here.
But all right. So Dylan mentioned Charlie Brown, so we're going to go to that next. So Gary Hart makes another appearance with the great Kabuki, who was coming in the defending NWA television champion, versus Charlie Brown from downtown, also known as the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant.
Jimmy Valiant, baby.
10 minutes and 35 seconds in this match. And one of the so I'll kind of start on this. And one of the first things that I noticed in this match was the small things that they did and the small movements that they did that had a lot. Looky here, Landy Pose.
All right.
He really enjoyed the Roddy Piper match.
He loved Roddy Piper. Yeah. For Roddy Piper, not a big fan of Greg Valentine.
He also really, really likes Steamboat too.
Yeah, he likes some Steamboat.
Oh, you want to say that? And he also says, "Landing moon, baby."
Yeah.
Baby. Woo. But yeah, I mean, it was. It says the champ is in the house. But yeah, I mean, Kabuki with the skull claw, which Gordon Soley let us all know that if you close off the blood to the upper part of the brain, you can lose consciousness really quick.
Yeah.
And especially when you jump off the top rope. And this is another one of those where the top rope come in, but jumps off the top rope, hits him with the claw. That was vicious. Vicious stuff.
But they sold it a lot better.
They did sell it well. But
when somebody has a top rope elbow or a top rope headbutt to the elbow, and you go down like it's the worst thing in the world,
Well, the thing is, a lot of this looked like what a street fight would look like. I mean, there's three types of wrestlers in wrestling. There's hookers, which are guys that can stretch you, and they can wrestle, they can fight. There's shooters who can wrestle, jiu-jitsu, karate, whatever it is. They're shooters. They can legit do the martial art. And then you've got pro wrestlers and Carney style guys. They've always been those kind of guys, and those are the
Catch can.
Probably a little bit of Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, So keeping that in mind, that's the way it goes. That's the way it's always been. The way that these wrestlers are going. But so Lovey said that he didn't know that he used the spray back then. Yeah, Kabuki did. He did not spray in the eyes, but he sprayed before he started. Before the match went, he sprayed. So Timmy, he says he wants everyone to know that his father Charles has cancer around his stomach. That's unfortunate. I hate to hear that. So sorry. And please keep him in your thoughts and your prayers. And we will do that, Timmy, for sure. But yeah, Kabuki did use the green mist before he came out. So I don't know this to be fact, but is Asuka in some way paying homage to Kabuki with some of her? Because he looked a lot like Asuka in his get-up, I thought.
Could be.
I don't know. I mean, it could be a Vince thing too.
Tajiri did this thing too.
And Muda.
that's what I was thinking. Muda.
There's quite a few of them that have done it.
Yeah, but Kabuki was pre-Muda, right? Or are they around the same time? I think
Kabuki is the first one I remember seeing it before Muda. A few years.
From the Orient.
I love that. Yeah, from the Orient. Could be anywhere.
Where's that at?
Not from
See,
Arkansas.
no, that keep on, Billy. No, you see, Gary, that was one of Gary Hart's gimmicks. Was he was always traveling through the mysterious Orient and Singapore and all that, finding the most unique and enigmatic people he could to manage. So
I like the during the pay-per-view. I like the interviewing people in the crowd.
Yeah.
That's some of the best right there.
We got some people here from Greensboro, North Carolina. Who's going to win? Rick Flower. Rick Flower's got it.
hey, see, that's something
That's great.
that's something we didn't talk about. That's one thing that makes this one of the greatest of all time. And we ain't even talked about it yet. Greensboro Coliseum, Greensboro, South Carolina. Wrestling Mecca.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean nothing to Billy because, but
I when I was stationed at Shaw Air Force Base, it wasn't 45 minutes from Greensboro. But
oh, nice.
Kaylee, my wife, she's sitting here watching a little bit with us, and she's like, "Oh my God, whatever." And I told her, I was like, "You got to understand, during this time, people really thought people were really beating the hell out of each other. Like,
Yeah.
I told her, I was like, before Vince McMahon came out and told everybody, yeah, this is all fake and it's all planned out and everything. Like, I was like, people really thought this was legit.
Yeah.
Abdullah the Butcher was bringing that fork out in his trunks and he's stabbing people in the head with it. Like it was legit. People really believed that. It's like, so you see these people getting all passionate, but it was because they didn't know any otherwise. They thought this was real.
Yep. And in some places they really laid it in. Sorry, go ahead, Josh. I got some lag.
You keep on.
I was saying, like some areas, though, some regions, territories that they ran over in East Tennessee, they would tell them to lay it in when they wanted to feel it because that made them come back a little harder at them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to like blood, and that's once I was talking to Daddy about it. It's like the blood. There was blood in, I think, almost every match. But the blood made sense. It wasn't just blood for the sake of blood. It was
Yes.
It made sense.
Yeah, that was Lovey's comment. Blood in half the matches back in the day.
But it made sense. Is the thing. It wasn't just John Moxley just drawing blood just for the sake of drawing blood. There was a grudge. Like there.
Well, you didn't see them gig themselves either.
No, that's what I talked to Daddy about it. I was like, I don't really know how they're so slick with it. Because I was telling him, like, John Moxley, you can tell when he blades. But, like, in these matches there, like, it seemed natural. It seemed like they were really getting busted open. You couldn't really tell when they were blading. At least to me, I couldn't tell. It just seemed like they were getting busted open.
Yeah, so I one of the things I noticed was that Charlie Brown's in-ring attire was just on point. I thought his haircut all the way down to his boots.
Jeans and a t-shirt.
I mean, boy, he was there, buddy. He was ready to go. Paul, what do you think about this one?
Oh, Lord. I don't know what to tell you there. I'm a huge Kabuki fan from World Class. I love Boogie Woogie Man Jimmy Valiant because I saw him as a kid and I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
In later years, I actually got learning about him and I had a heck of a career. He wasn't always a gimmick or what have you. And he was legit good wrestler and runs a wrestling school. But I don't know, this match was cool. It had a little comedy to it and all that. And that's actually one of my favorite titles of all time, the NWA Television Championship.
So he is still around.
He runs a wrestling school in
Tennessee.
Air Force Base out there in Tullahoma. Yeah. Guard base.
Jimmy Valiant. He's in better shape in this picture. I'm looking at him here in 2008 than he was in this match. He had some weight on him. I enjoyed Kabuki's karate. I don't think he was a learned karate master or anything like that, but he sold it well. hitting those back kicks. And I tell you, there was nothing better than coming off the top rope with that claw, buddy. But you know that I make fun a little bit, but at the same time, one of the most underutilized things nowadays in wrestling is a good sleeper hold, a good claw hold, a good bear hug. Just the amount of stuff you can get out of that. You know, the emotion that you can convey through it and all that. You know.
Well, I try to put while I was watching it, I try to put myself like in that era, and more of a realistic mindset. Like if somebody suplexed, like if I was getting in a fight with somebody and somebody suplexed me and raised me up over their head and slammed me on my back, like that hurt.
That arched my back.
Yeah, that probably put me out. You know, like I don't need 4 or 5 other moves after that. I'd probably be done after that. All right, you win.
It does hurt.
What did Charlie Brown win this match with?
Was it a suplex?
No, it was an off the rope elbow drop.
Yeah,
Off the rope elbow drop.
and I get
Not
it.
off the top rope.
I get
just,
it that like from our mindset of watching people do 450 splashes and this and that it's like, oh, that sucks. But from a realistic mindset, if somebody comes from 6 feet up in the air, drops an elbow on your head, I'm not getting up after that. I'm done.
But you also, if you're looking at it as a sporting event, in collegiate wrestling, sometimes guys that should win lose because they get stuck. You just get stuck. And that should happen. That should happen in professional wrestling. I mean, his brother, my youngest son, Dustin, he got beaten some flukes from time to time because he shouldn't have been on his back, and he was, and he got stuck. Yeah. And it should happen every once in a while.
By the way, I know this got nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I probably forgot to tell you this. When we were on the Pride, the sports bar, whatever it's called, Skybox or whatever, you would have loved it. They had March Madness on one TV and Matt Madness on the other, right beside
it. And that's a perfect example. I think in weight class 132 this year, the number 1 seed got put out by like number 8, and the kid called it. What can you do? Lovey's talking about the Cobra Clutch sleeper. Oh yeah. Well, don't forget Sergeant Slaughter had this number too, where he would put your head in the vise.
I remember my grandpa, my mom's dad, Grandpa Brett. He used to do that right there. He put that right there. Put it right there on your temples, and it hurts. Like it does hurt.
Yeah, it hurts. But there ain't nobody that's going to sit there and take it either. When there's no. I guess if you're running legs in or something like that. But so Billy, what you got on this match here? I know this is one that you loved.
I had 3 notes. Charlie Brown's outfit, shouldn't it be a yellow shirt with black stripes on it, like Charlie Brown? Anyways, I thought Charlie Brown was a dumb name. Anyways, I did say he's crazy weird, was my comment. I also said dumb finish to the match between him and Kabuki, elbow drop, rolled eyes. So I don't like the finish to that match.
I'd like to know the whole story on this, and there had to be some kind of angle coming in where Jimmy Valiant, loser get out of town kind of thing or something going on, because he had the mask and the outfit and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I think might have been going on. I don't know for sure. Let me take a look here and see.
I think it was match versus title, I thought.
Yeah, it was 90 days prior to this, after his 90-day loser leave town period. Yep. Okay, so yeah, he was. I think you were getting ready, Paul.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Midnight Riders showed up right after Dusty Rhodes got suspended.
So
I like the Dusty Rhodes.
Oh gosh,
the cameos. Like he didn't have a match or nothing, but there was like 2 or 3 times he showed up throughout the pay-per-view, and
a flair for the gold, baby. A flair.
My favorite was when he said
for the gold, baby,
because he challenged the winner and he said, "I am the Man of Steel," and I loved that right there. I'm the Man of Steel.
And he never. A lot of folks, even back then, would rehearse or have bullet points or whatever for their promos. And he was known to never do that. Give me an idea of what you want me to talk about, baby, and I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna put it on, baby.
The best one was right before
The dream,
the
baby.
Flair match. And he had like these 3 girls around him from right there in North Carolina. And he had them around his arms and stuff. And he was like, I'm gonna call who gonna win this match, baby. Let me tell you right quick. And he said, "Oh, I ain't gonna tell you just yet." It was great. I loved it.
All right, moving on. Next match was my favorite match of the whole.
Oh yeah,
Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine in the dog collar match. And this is one that they have attempted time and time again to get that magic back. There'll never be another one. And it started from the outset with Roddy Piper wadding up that chain and throwing it like a whip at Greg Valentine. That set the tone for the match. And it was if 2 men, which there were 2 men with a dog collar around them and a chain, that's what it should look like. That's what the match should look like.
Yeah. It was a brawl.
It was a brawl. What you got, Billy?
Just a couple notes. I said Piper versus Valentine dog collar match was good. And then I wrote, they're both wearing the same color blue trunks, which I thought was odd. And then also, I thought it was weird because dog collar matches I've seen is where you have to touch each of the turnbuckles, all 4 turnbuckles.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it where they haven't done that before, so that was interesting.
So, but is that not? I thought that was a strap match. The dog collar, I thought.
Well, I've seen strap matches that way. I've also seen dog collar. I actually refed a dog collar match. Okay. It was touching the top turnbuckles. So
I guess it depends. I guess whatever the stipulation is, because I mean you've seen strap matches too where they don't pull them from corner to corner.
Yeah.
But the last one of those matches I saw was I believe it was Cena that did one of those.
MJF and CM Punk.
Did they do a corner to corner? No, I'm not talking about dog collar. I'm talking about the corner to corner where you have to touch each corner with those are some good matches. That's one you don't see hardly anymore, and those are really good matches.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
Well, today's wrestling fan would dump on it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But, I mean, you think about, 2 men, grown men's strength, or grown women versus grown women's strength, and you try and drag, even if it's somebody as sissified as Billy J, and you try to drag them from corner to corner, it's not easy. I mean, you're going to have to, but anyway, it is what it is.
I like the match. I like the dog collar match. What I told, because me and Betty watched it together, and my thing with it was the weapon used. I think at one point Roddy Piper threw a chair at Greg Valentine. Other than that, the only weapon used during that match was the dog collar, and that's the only weapon that really should be used. If that's a dog collar match, then the dog collar should be used. So they're whipping each other with a chain. And that's what I told Daddy when they're whipping each other. I was like, you can't really fake that.
You mean
if
somebody's having a coffin match, they shouldn't come out with a sweatshirt covered in thumbtacks?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. But I like that match. I watched that match a few months back because Paul told me to go watch it because I said something about liking extreme wrestling. He told me to go watch that match, and I like that match a lot because it made sense for the blood. It made sense for the aggression, and it wasn't just blood for the sake of blood.
Well, Valentine and Piper had some real heat,
and you could tell. I mean, I didn't know the build up to the match, but I could tell from the crowd reaction. I could tell from the way they were looking at each other before the match, the way they were acting during the match, the heat that had been built up to this match.
Yeah.
And that's something you don't really see all that much anymore. Yeah. I mean, there's certain people that can pull that off, but not all the time. Sometimes it's just no holds barred just cause. And this one, I could tell that it made sense.
Yeah. So, reading up on this, apparently Piper really did lose 75% of the hearing in his ear from the ring bell that Valentine hit him with. And this was supposed to be the blow off event. This was supposed to end the feud. It's a good match. I mean, it stood the test of time, and it's again, the closest one I think to come to matching it was CM Punk and MJF.
Well, even 2-year-old
That was a good
Landon
one.
liked it.
Yeah, it was a good match.
Landon sitting there cheering.
And not a whole lot going on. I mean, they weren't doing anything crazy.
There wasn't a lot of wrestling.
No.
It was a lot of fighting.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you said, Josh. That's why this was here. This was the blow off match for it.
Yeah. No.
So I mean, the feud was bowled over, and it was time to end it. They wasn't going to be no headlocks and all that stuff.
They were just beating the hell out of each other. And
Yeah.
But
Pretty much.
The build up to it. There wasn't just it's a title match, so we might as well take all rules out of the book. No, there was a reason behind it.
Yeah, Mike makes a good comment here that Valentine still talks about this match. Yeah, he does. There was a documentary I was watching, and Valentine was driving his car around, talking to all these old wrestlers and stuff, and he first thing he brought up. But what you got on this one, Billy?
Oh, that's all I had. You already went to me first.
That's right. Keep me straight here. You're my straight man. Paul, what do you got?
This is wrestling gold in my book. The way a feud should end, these shouldn't be every week matches. It should be to settle a feud, this or a cage. And to me, I love it because I love Piper and Valentine, and this shows that they were huge stars before they ever went to the WWF in Mid-Atlantic, Georgia area. And, I mean, those two are just great.
Yeah.
And I guess, I don't know, that's about all I got. I mean, it was just a great match with two great guys in it. And
One of my
I still
favorite
think
things
Piper should have had a belt or something.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
One of my favorite things about it, and I was telling Daddy when we watched it, is you can tell that they were in the territory days, because when they announced Greg Valentine, and they said they didn't even say his name yet. They just said from Seattle, Washington, and the entire arena, boo, just because he wasn't from that area.
Carpetbagger.
Yeah, it was like that's great. That's great, because I mean, if it would have been the other way around, they announced whoever, if they were in the Northwest and they announced whoever from the Southeast, they'd have got the same reaction.
And Roddy's from Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Scotland is better than the Northeast.
We would do that on indie shows. We would change the locations of wrestlers depending on where we were at, where they're from and stuff, just to get crowd reaction and stuff.
Parts Unknown's always a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Jake Roberts done it.
My favorite line is three blocks east of Parts Unknown.
Well, Abdullah the Butcher's from Georgia.
Yeah.
But when they announced him, he's the heel. And they said from the Sudan.
He's from the Sudan.
Yeah. Oh,
He's really Canadian.
Have you ever heard the stories of him when he would leave, like how he would stay in kayfabe all the time, and he would go to like restaurants and act like he couldn't pronounce what was in and he would just bacon, and then they would bring him bacon, and he would demand that it's raw, and he would sit there and eat raw bacon. As Cornette talks about that. That's crazy. Him and there was another one, the Mongolian Stomper. He said he was like that too.
MJF is the one that's got me into kayfabe, because I see his autograph signings and stuff where he just never breaks character, and I love it.
Well, when he says things that makes you cringe, you're like, ooh, he might not should have said that.
That may have been a little too much. Yeah.
Just take about 20% off of it, Spurly Dan.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next match. We got to get moving here. We've got Steamboat and Youngblood defeating the Briscoe brothers, Jack and Jerry Briscoe, and Angelo Mosca as the special guest referee. I noted that Angelo Mosca is a big son of a gun. And I also noted that the Briscoes were legit shooters. Boy, they could go.
NCAA champions, both of them.
Steamboat was a stud, just fantastic athlete. And this was this would go, I think, 4 or 5 stars today. I don't think that there'd be any problem with it going 4 or 5 stars today.
Yeah.
So, how you
And
feel
it
there,
was,
Paul?
love this match. I said earlier, I love tag team wrestling, and this was a passing of the torch, if you will, match. After this, the Briscoes kind of, starting to taper off, with their careers and all. And it was time for especially Steamboat, to be showcased after that.
Love that.
I do too.
I mean, you got to think about the era, like karate was it, so
Oh yeah,
have a face doing some karate, even if it was corny, it's still. But I mean, I'm sitting there watching, and the Briscoes are not small guys, and then Steamboat hurdling them twice, and without them really ducking, it didn't look like they ducked much. Some superior athletic feats from Steamboat, but
well, I'm trying to find the footage of it, but I can't. But I got some people looking for it. It's rumored that one night in Philadelphia, Steamboat had a 4-star match with a towel. Just saying. I'm looking for the footage of it.
So, and there was one point when Jerry Briscoe put a key lock on, I think on Youngblood. I don't think it was on Steamboat, but the way he tied him up, I was just like, man, and then them wearing their shooter boots. I mean, they just.
Well, I like that when they announced the Briscoes, they said, they both wrestled at Oklahoma State as collegiate wrestlers. And one of them was a national champion wrestler. I like
That'd
that
be
they
Jerry
did
or
those.
Jack.
And then, at one point in the match, we were like, well, he's tilting him.
Yeah.
He's putting a real wrestling move on him right now.
He had him in a gut wrench.
Yeah.
And, he rolled up and put him in almost like a gut wrench roll, and then tilted him up to his back. It was just nice, real nice.
There's certain, not to drift away from this episode, but there's certain modern day wrestlers that we'll watch and we'll like just because we can see real wrestling. Because I wrestled and Daddy wrestled and Dustin wrestled, and you watch Dolph Ziggler, Xavier Woods, Kurt Angle, and you'll see them put an ankle pick on somebody, and you'll be like, oh, well, hang on, and this person will actually wrestle.
Yeah.
And this was one of those matches you could actually see some real wrestling. And my big takeaway from it was not so much on a wrestling standpoint, but Ricky Steamboat from this whole pay-per-view was the only person that fit that bodybuilder mold. I mean, he was ripped. I mean, he was cut and ripped, and he was the only one that was doing, I guess, high flying through this whole thing. I mean, it wasn't nothing spectacular. He wasn't turning flips or nothing, but it was still good.
Yeah,
it was. I think that was my favorite match off the show.
It moved well.
Yeah,
but I like that. It's kind of like your guy that you love so much now, Paul Murdoch. Kind of like Trevor Murdoch. A lot of these guys just look like real tough guys. Not, somebody that you wouldn't want to run into at a truck stop somewhere,
Yeah, Trevor probably know his way around a bar too.
Yeah.
How to handle himself.
Yeah.
Unlike Billy J.
So, Billy, where were you at on this match?
I just had a couple things. I said Briscoes versus Steamboat Youngblood, good tag team match. I have to say that because I know Jerry Briscoe personally, so
It's
he's a
stretchy.
good guy. And then this had Jay Youngblood, and there was a Mark Youngblood earlier. Are they related? Or
They're brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the backstage with Mr. Youngblood wearing the Rush T-shirt. Yeah, that's what I picked out. I was like, oh, he's wearing a Rush shirt.
Great. I like the frequent tags.
Yeah.
In this match, it was more. You saw it more than you did in the other tag matches. It seemed more like a tag match, I guess, to me and what I grew up with, than the other tag matches in the show.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Billy, you want me to explain that to you?
go ahead.
When the young bloods weren't together,
Yeah.
because Mark was still really young, and so they had him in there working with Wahoo as his partner.
Yeah.
They later teamed together.
Well, Daddy told me that Wahoo, he was like, well, he's not real Native American. He spray painted his hair black and everything. And then when they got a close up on him, I was like, yep.
Yeah, Jim Cornette said that during the matches, because Wahoo would put whatever spray paint stuff on the bald spot, especially. And by the end of the match, you could see it in this one because of the camera angles. It had washed off and come off, where he had tried to cover that up. But I mean, Wahoo had to be in his 50s in this Starrcade '83, probably.
Who was the referee during the Steamboat?
I didn't write that down, so I don't know who it was.
This one here?
Oh, no, it was Mosca. Mosca was the
Mosca.
special guest referee. Yeah.
And I thought that was. I thought that was interesting. He just got beat up from his previous match. He had his arm bandaged up and he's bleeding and everything. And I thought it was interesting.
They had to freshen that blood up before he went out there, though.
Yeah, for sure. It'd been a couple hours.
Yeah.
But it was good. I liked how that went. He was on the side of the faces, and it was good. He tried to catch the Briscoes and they come off top rope, and he botched that a little bit. Remember that?
Yeah.
He catched him and fell.
Yeah.
But they played it off.
Yeah. So Wahoo, he would have almost been 50. He would have been getting toward 50. He was born in 38.
Yeah,
Dude.
sorry.
He was a big boy.
Moscow was a strong dude. Moscow put Youngblood up on his shoulder after that match and just toted him out. That was wild.
Moscow was a football player before wrestler, like Wahoo.
Yeah.
They got into wrestling kind of after. Or they started when they were ending their careers in the NFL pretty much for extra money, like in the off season. So they didn't get into it when they were real young.
And then the namesake, Flair for the Gold.
Heard that.
Holly Race and Ric Flair inside the squared circle, inside of a steel cage, baby. Man, so good match. I would like to have been there or see better footage of what in the world was going on with the lasers on the ceiling. Music for Flair.
Great.
Yeah, got the music, but he didn't walk out to the music. The door opened to the music. Dylan noted the fantastic pyro.
Yes.
And the smoke.
The one firecracker that went off. Great.
I'm picturing one of those cones that goes down on the ground that you can buy at Walmart that all the kids jump through. That's probably what that was.
It was something on Let Landon lot. Yeah, no, it was good.
But they did have pyro.
It was cool.
The robe was spectacular. I mean, as much as that robe was glistening in those poor quality of cameras, that was an amazing robe.
It made Harley Race's robe look like.
Oh, I liked Harley's.
Oh, I did too, but Rick's made Harley's look.
It was Tommaso that wore a Harley Race robe.
Yep.
He actually wore that on Raw, didn't he? I think it was on Raw that he wore it.
I remember.
Pretty sure.
Ric Flair was the first, if I remember, because you brought up last weekend that Kelly's what got me into wrestling. But I remember Ric Flair was the first male wrestler that I ever really got into. And that was why. It was all the robes and everything and the woo, woo, woo. I just remember thinking that was cool.
Styling, profiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby. Can't hold these gators down. I spent more money on spilt liquor. So, Paul, we'll start you off, man. What you got?
Absolute positively loved it. First time a NWA world title changed hands inside the steel cage. To me, two of the greatest, when we rephrase it, three of the greatest world heavyweight champions were involved with this match because the referee was a world's champion. The only man that I know of to hold the NWA and AWA world heavyweight titles, Gene Kiniski. but Flair and Race, and once again, this was kind of a passing of the torch. This was to build Flair up because they knew he could be a long-term champion, and they nailed it. I love that match. I could watch it every day. It doesn't get old.
I like the build-up and the backstage with Shivani.
Yeah.
And this is something that you don't see much anymore, but the heel, the clear heel and face locker rooms. You know, and everybody in the face locker room, oh, we know Flair is going to win it. And then, you know, then you almost have like at the Joker's lair almost the heels. Oh, you know, my buddy over here, you know, Mr. Bob Orton, he's been telling me everything he knows about Mr. Flair, you know, and they just wringing their hands. And
Paul said it the best way last weekend. He said that was the original bloodline when you had Harley Race and Bob Orton and all them back there together. And
yeah,
and I was thinking about that a lot when we were watching it, and it was like I can really see that.
yeah.
Like it was sitting around, there wasn't so much cockiness, and it was just like assurance of like
Harley was a scary dude.
This is no competition. We've got this.
I can remember going to some. There was a pool hall at the end of the street that I lived on, and I used to go down there and shoot pool when I was a kid. And every once in a while, some men would come in, and I'd get on my bicycle and I'd get the heck out of there. And I remember them all looking like Harley Race. Little tattoo here on, you know, that tattoo. You got a guy with a tattoo right here. That's surefire that guy right there means business. He's a mean joker. You know,
them sideburns come down right there, and then mustache. That is mean.
You know, Ray supposedly had a bounty out on Flair before this match.
Yeah,
$250,000, I believe it was.
That's what they had. Well, they even brought it up, and you know, I forget who said. Somebody said something about Bob not getting.
He said I paid him, and I paid him $250,000 a piece to take him out. And yeah.
What you got, Billy?
Well, I've got a few notes. I agreed with the bad lighting camera work for Flair's entrance, disco ball, and a laser light.
Oh, the disco ball was amazing, Billy. Come on now.
I said I liked Flair's robe.
Woo! Yeah.
I said no music for Harley Race, which I thought was odd.
He didn't need none. It's Harley damn Race.
Gene Kiniski sucked as a referee. This is a cage match. So I said, why would the ref break them up on the ropes in a cage match or keep fists open? This was a no DQ match. Let them fight.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I also said the finish was dumb. Flair jumping off top rope onto Race with a bad crossbody, with the referee down tripping over him. I did not like the finish. I also said the canvas looks disgusting, like a backyard wrestling ring that has had the same canvas for years. Lots of bodily fluids. I also said saying suplex like supplé is like calling a ship a boat. Cringeworthy.
No.
I also said, what number wife was that of Flair's? That was.
He's probably on number 2 at that point.
And then I said quite a few audio issues during the show. Is this an SCT Adventures or a ship show? That was my other comment.
Real quick, I want to go back.
I have a couple overall comments I'll talk about in a little bit.
I want to go to the apron because I brought that up to Daddy. I was like, this is obviously before they had, you know, multiple aprons laid down, but in between every match they peel a new one off and have a clean one. Because I was like, you can see the blood from the last match, and now this match, and now the last match, and then just pile up and pile up and pile up, and that's something different to me.
They probably put some bleach on it.
Yeah, but you know,
Yeah.
but you know, you watch wrestling now, and they have a match and they peel that off and they have a new one, brand new, spotless, clean. But like, you know, there's been blood for 2 hours on that match, and it just piled up. By the time they got to the Flair match, that thing was half red.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that, honestly. It's I don't know.
Well, Billy, when you ref, do you have one of those little mini vacuums you keep at ringside or something, or?
Well, we had a broom and a dustpan.
Yeah, I had no idea that Billy was. Are you on Fauci's team? Are you part of the CDC directors? No,
I mean,
I noticed it too, and I was like,
for the Indies, we would.
Man.
Well,
For Indies, we only had like one canvas that we used.
Yeah.
And we'd only use that. We'd probably use the canvas like for a year. So we would try not to do any blood matches at all, unless it came like to the very end of we're getting a new canvas. Then yeah, we'll do a blood match or a two and stuff like that. But
do it in the corner so you can cut that little piece out.
Yeah.
It's just it's different to me because I was born in '99, and blood to me is nasty. But if you ain't blood related to me, I don't want nothing to do with your blood.
That was not That was not blood. Gordon Soley made it clear that was life-giving fluid.
Yeah, life-giving fluid. But I mean, I guess if you put yourself in 1983, before Freddie Mercury, blood wasn't really that big a deal. So, but I was born in '99, so to me, it's like, Lord, they're rolling around in that blood. That's wild. That's wild to me. But
so, what else did you have, Billy, for the overall comments?
I said Starrcade 83 overall. Last 3 matches were good. Didn't care for the other 5 matches. I said not a good pay-per-view overall, in my opinion. And then I said this is a booking issue. The first 4 matches, the heels won. The faces won the last 4. I would have booked it differently. I would have broken that up and had a face or 2 win a match and then have the heel win a match and then break it up that way. But that's all I got.
Paul, what's your rebuttal to that?
Well, first of all, Billy, the reason it wasn't a good pay-per-view, because it wasn't a pay-per-view.
Well, whatever it was called back then.
First pay-per-view was the Wrestling Classic that Vince put on. But overall,
so
I'm sorry, that Piper Valentine match makes up for anything and everything. And the Briscoes and Steamboat and Youngblood, and what transpired after the Flair race match, what that set Flair up to go do, makes it worth it. I'm with you on the finish of it. They botched it a little bit, seriously.
Yeah.
But I love Starrcade 83. I mean, I give it overall at least. What do we do here? 4 stars or 5 stars?
I mean, yeah, I don't like the. I don't subscribe to the Meltzer system. I think the best you can do is 4 stars.
So, all right, but I'll give it 3.5
out of 100,
just for the lower card.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. It's hard for me because the last 3 matches on a 4-star scale were all 4 stars, in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I mean, I'm probably because I'm a mark for it. I'm going to say I'm at 3.25.
See, here's my thing. I watched it for free later years, not live. And it's better than some that I paid. What did I pay? Close to $60 at one time for some of that stuff when they were putting them on one a month or one every 2 months. They rushed some of that stuff, just saying.
Yeah.
Hey, Blaine.
Yeah, for sure. What would you give it, Dylan?
So, just for me looking at it as of right now, after what I've seen, what I've grown up with people throwing people off Hell of a Sales and all this and that, like, yeah, I could see that it's boring and it's not all that. But when I look at it from what I expect wrestling to be and what I think wrestling should be. I appreciate it a lot. There's a lot of silly stuff, a lot of stuff that I think is oversold, and I don't know, but I do enjoy it. And I think there's a lot of parts that are silly, but I do enjoy it quite a bit, and it's more of a nostalgic thing, I guess, than anything.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. Wrestling's changed. It's been 40 years since that, so things change. So you watch it, and it's fun to watch. It's different. Everything changes, and I appreciate it.
I like I say this all the time, but the biggest thing for me is the announcers, and the fact that you've got some people that are calling this from a real sporting event perspective instead of being marks.
Solely and Coddle.
Yeah. Solely's hard to beat. The life-giving fluids. That was the best remark of the whole time. Piper and Valentine, they just continue to lose those life-giving fluids.
If he'd have cut back to 3 packs a day, he might still be around.
Yeah. Hey guys, this was awesome. This was fun, and let's give you guys a solo layout and tell us what you got coming up.
All right. Tomorrow I'm gonna drop a This Week in History video. It's not a premiere or anything, just something I put out. I'm a weirdo like that, I guess. I love studying history, and I've put some stuff together corresponding with each day of the week, and go back through history and just list 2 or 3 things through history for each date that I find interesting. And the reason I do that, like I said, I'm a big history nerd. Plus, I always learn something when I do them. And tomorrow night at 6:45 Central Standard Time, we're be premiering a new episode of the Booze News, the news that you can use. And other than that, I got a couple videos through the week I may drop. I don't know. They're nothing major, 3-4 minute long, different stuff that I need to get off my phone. That's it.
Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Yeah, Paul Dillon had a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You got any soju yet, Paul?
Got what?
Soju?
No, I think I'm about to get to Atlanta for that. Oh no, I'm going to Little Rock here pretty soon. We can try and find some there.
Well, the brand you need to look for is Genro. GINRO, Genro.
Get Miss Meg to write that down. Hey, can I bust Billy out real quick?
Anytime.
Billy J is Billy J, but there's a different side to him, an alter ego, which is just Billy. I'll tell you what a great guy this is. Me and him were on a cruise together not too long ago. Billy's always talking about he's so frugal. He's not cheap. He's just frugal. This guy offered to buy my lunch on that cruise ship and told me, Paul, you're such a good friend. You can order anything you want off the menu at Guy's Burger or Blue Iguana. You go, Billy.
All right, Billy, what you got coming up?
Well, I just put out a blog yesterday. Yeah, yesterday was Raid Parade. That was my Belize video. Next Raid Parade Friday, I'll have a Cozumel, Mexico video coming out. I may have a ship tour video of the Carnival Pride come out maybe in a couple of days, or maybe later. It's going to take me a while to edit. Otherwise, not much going on. Yeah, that's it. And I wish I had my 2.5 hours back from watching Starrcade '83.
You probably have a lot more out, huh?
Yeah.
One more thing. Can I ask one more question of you, Mr. Host Josh?
Yeah.
Since Billy so hard to please, how about he picked the next thing we review?
Yeah.
How would we do that?
Yeah, Billy needs to give us something to review.
That's a hard pass on me.
Get a week.
Yeah.
You give me something better, and I'll watch it.
So the Moonlight Adventures, we've kind of been chilling, and we're going to continue that tomorrow. We will not be going live shooting breeze. It's our last Sunday with them before they head down to Florida. and that's what they've got big going on. Is they're heading down to Florida to Tyndall Air Force Base, and so we're going to enjoy them and not go live. However, I should have the Ultimate Ocean K Tour coming out tomorrow, so expect that. Been working hard on it, and soon as my thumbnail producer gets that thumbnail out, we'll have that one posted. But continuing our Ocean K or our MSC vlogs, and once we get back to normal operations here, you'll start seeing more of the Wow That Was Fast coming back, and all of our normal activities here at the Moonlight Adventures. Also, Plum Crazy is out there now, and we're going to start putting a whole lot more content on Plum Crazy as well. But that's pretty much it. We don't have a whole lot going on. Just the biggest thing that we have coming up here after these guys leave is that Dustin will graduate from Marine Corps boot camp on the 5th of May, and he actually received his Eagle Globe and Anchor today, and we should hopefully get a phone call from him tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that. Looking forward to that big time. So there's Captain Billy J. If you Meg, do you have his OnlyFans link too? We will throw that up there for him. And
That's
of course,
you,
I have a link.
Isn't he the one that's got a match coming up with Billy J when he gets back?
Yeah. Dustin's ready to take Billy J on. Once he gets moved over to Pensacola, he's gonna hunt him down.
Billy, think of how famous you'll be. You're gonna get thumped by a Marine. You can brag about that.
I'm already famous. I don't.
Yeah, you missed that, Billy. The weekend was the week before Dustin left. Billy decided to jump on Moonlight Adventures, and Dustin was on there and shooting a breeze. And he was trying to get some heat with Dustin.
Yeah.
No.
He can have an airman referee.
I'm a pro wrestling referee. I can handle myself.
Hey, big news for Virginia Championship Wrestling. Matt Cardona will be here in July. And
all right.
their big event that they're having here, I guess he's going to attempt to take the VCW Heavyweight Championship belt.
Matt Cardona is about to be all elite.
Think so?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to be all elite. I saw where Seth Rollins is going to be facing Almost in the next pay-per-view, and I'm like, yeah, gosh.
Yeah. If Seth
Here we
Rollins got any kind of mind on him, he'll be all elite.
Yeah. Oh, man, if the right people jump after all this, there's a good chance that WWE will go the way of WCW.
Yep. I'm a fan of Bryan Danielson and all that, but Seth Rollins, the best wrestler.
I'm going to tell you what Starrcade 83 felt like. It felt like one of these pay-per-views that AEW does when they bring in people from different promotions, is what it really felt like.
Like a Forbidden Door.
I mean, and in some there's been cases where AEW has done very well on some of their pay-per-views. I mean, some of them have been total flops. But
what I like about AEW is that when you watch Dynamite, it seems like Raw when I used to watch it. There's not all this extra special effects and all this bull crap. It's wrestling. There's some silliness to it, but it's wrestling.
Yeah.
That's what I like about AEW.
Wrestling. All right, fellas, and everyone that is here and supported this tonight, I appreciate you guys for being here. We'll have to wait and see if we go live next Saturday. We may take next Saturday off. I don't know just yet.
I probably won't be on.
You know what I'd like to do, but I think we'll wait until Dylan's back on. But I would like to do a Barely Legal review. ECW Barely Legal.
Wait till I'm on for that.
That might be a good one to review that we could all go through, because there were some good matches in that one.
So Raw Van Dam actually meant something. Yeah.
The whole damn show. All right. I appreciate you guys being on here. Appreciate everyone from the World Wrestling Vlog crew. Have a good night. We are out.